everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to completely demystify something that sounds super intimidating but really isn't: building your very own home server. We'll be using Patrick Young's brilliant guide, Granny May Explains How to Build a Server, to break it all down in plain English. Let's get right into it. I want to kick things off with a quick question. Take a look at your bank statements and think about all those monthly cloud storage subscriptions. Doesn't it kind of feel like you're paying a never-ending rent just to access your own memories? Every £5 or so you send off to some tech giant every month. Yeah, that's just funding their servers to hold what rightfully belongs to you. So what's the ultimate solution here? Well, it's actually transforming an old computer into what is essentially a magical trunk. Think of it as your own personal 24/7 librarian. It keeps your files safe right there in your house, but still lets you access them from literally anywhere. Whether you're just chilling in your garden with a tablet or traveling halfway across the world, this trunk is always awake and it's always ready to serve your files straight to you. Here's how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll talk about why you should build a home server. Then, we'll look at the kitchen of your server, prepare the physical workspace, figure out why Linux is the way to go, and finally, actually bring your server to life. All right, starting with part one, why build a home server in the first place? It's really all about taking back your digital independence. You know, handing all your personal photos over to big tech is honestly a lot like letting nosy neighbors peer right over your fence. A home server, on the other hand, keeps your digital laundry entirely private. Sure, those huge tech companies might promise to keep your data safe, but come on, they also use it to learn about your habits and, well, sell you things. With your own server, that gate is locked tight. No vultures allowed. Let's think about it this way. Big tech cloud storage is basically a rented apartment. The landlord can just change the furniture whenever they want, and they constantly charge you rent. But a home server? That's a house you own outright. No monthly fees whatsoever. You just pay for the electricity to run it, which is usually less than running a single light bulb, and that's it. You are the absolute master of the house. Moving on to part two. Let's demystify the computer hardware itself by stepping into what we'll call the kitchen of your server. Forget about all those intimidating technical specs for a second. Just think of the CPU as the chef doing the cooking and the RAM as the countertop space they have to chop all their ingredients. It's that simple. So if your server has low RAM, it just means the countertop is tiny. The chef has to keep running back and forth to the pantry to grab ingredients, and that obviously slows down the preparation of the whole meal. And following that exact same logic, your storage drive is the pantry where those ingredients are kept long-term. Now, upgrading to a modern solid-state drive, or SSD, that is literally like giving your server roller skates for instant access. Swapping out one of those clunky, old, spinning hard drives for an SSD is absolutely the best upgrade you can make. It completely gives an old computer a new lease on life. It's a real game changer. Okay, part three. Let's talk about preparing your physical workspace and finding the right home for this new machine of yours. Now, when it comes to connecting your server to the internet, using Wi-Fi is kind of like shouting across a really windy street. An Ethernet cable, however, gives your server a private, unbreakable tin can telephone connection straight to your router. You know, Wi-Fi is great for just casually browsing on the couch, but your server, it needs to be a rock. A direct cable ensures it never ever drops a connection right when it's trying to save your precious family photos. I also want to quickly define a term you're going to hear a lot in this space: headless. All that means is your server will eventually just run quietly in a corner without needing a monitor or a keyboard attached to it at all. It's brilliant because it saves so much electricity, and it allows your server to be discreetly tucked away in a cupboard or just sitting up on a bookshelf totally out of the way. You can think of your keyboard and monitor like a painter's ladder. We only really need them to set up the server initially, and once that's done, we just put them away in the shed. You use the ladder to reach the high corners while you're painting, right? But once the job is finished, you clear it out so the room looks clean and tidy without all that clutter. Next up is part four. Why choose Linux? We're about to step into a very friendly new neighborhood. Moving your system over to a Linux environment provides this incredibly lightweight, sturdy foundation. And the best part? It doesn't spy on you, and it doesn't waste energy on useless, fancy animations. A lot of mainstream operating systems are constantly busy chatting with their corporate headquarters right behind your back. But Linux stays quiet. It dedicates all of its energy strictly to keeping your files perfectly safe. To really understand why Linux is so safe, we need to talk about the term open source. Basically, it means the software code is like a famous sourdough recipe that's literally carved into the town square for everyone to verify and perfect. Thousands of incredibly clever people all over the globe check this recipe every single day, and if they find a loose floorboard, they fix it immediately. It is entirely built on community trust, rather than lockdown corporate secrets. Now, before we can actually start building, we need to download what's called an ISO file. Don't let the name scare you. It's simply a single digital blueprint that we're going to plant like a little seed light into our old computer. This specific file, which is called Ubuntu Server, acts as the complete architectural plans for your brand new digital house. So the really crucial step here is getting that blueprint onto a USB stick. You can do this by following 3 super quick steps to create your quote-unquote magic key. You download the ISO, you open a piece of software called Balena Etcher, and you click Flash. Balena Etcher essentially carves those Ubuntu instructions directly into the USB drive, preparing it to completely transform that old hardware of yours. All right, we've made it to part 5, bringing your server to life and crossing the threshold into the command line. As soon as you press the power button on that old computer, you have to do a little tap dance on your F12 key. You do this to catch the computer before it has a chance to load up its old, dusty brain. Basically, you're intercepting the machine in that tiny split-second window between asleep and awake, just telling it to pause its normal everyday routine. This critical first boot process comes down to 3 very manageable actions. Turn it on, tap F12, and select your magic USB stick. This tells the machine to read your fresh new Linux seeds instead of its old files. Once you select that USB stick, you're just going to step through a few really simple yes or no installation screens. It's literally just following the recipe card. Okay, so after the installation finishes, you're going to be staring at a blank, black and white command line screen. And you might find yourself thinking, how do we know it's actually alive? I get it. Without any pretty, colorful, graphical icons to click on, it can kind of feel like you're just staring into an empty, dark room. But here's the trick. By typing a super simple command into that screen, specifically ping space -c space 4 space google.com, your server will essentially shout a big hello right across the internet valley. And if it gets a bouncing reply back, well, my friend, you have successfully built a working home server. If you see 0% packet loss, that means your server is fully connected to the outside world, running smoothly, and absolutely ready to start serving your family. I want to wrap up this explainer with a really powerful quote from Patrick Young that I think perfectly sums up our entire journey today. Building a server isn't just a tech project, it's a way of reclaiming your digital life. So, I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to stop paying digital rent and finally build your own house? Because you've got all the tools, the analogies, and the knowledge right here. Thank you so much for joining me, and hey, happy building!